my parents, like, my dad was giving me cash to pay my tuition, and I took the cash and I traded with it, and then I took student loans out for Michigan State, and it's like I was so fucked because I had to tell my parents what I did. You know,
Yeah.
my dad is like, Indian guy, like, you know how Indian people are, man. They're freaking conservative. Like, white people, you can get away with shit. For all you youngsters that are white, man, white people can get away with shit. It's like, you impregnate a woman, awesome. Been arrested, good job, son. Boys will be boys. You talk to an Indian dad about that stuff, and it's like, hey, I got
You're
arrested.
out of the family, bro.
I lost money in the stock market. All of a sudden, it's like, what? What do you mean? You are not an engineer? And it was like, I mean, I ruined my dad's life. It was so crazy, man. He didn't speak to me for like a
Make him
year.
proud, kid.
He didn't speak to me for a year, and once he found out I was an engineering student, I mean, it was over. But I mean, that's the type of stuff that, guys, everybody goes through. It's like, I thought back then it was the rite of passage because there was no social media, there were no classes, none of that stuff. Like now, yeah, you're gonna go through some lumps, but things are different because you have like you could go to a place like Fous Alerts or Bulls on Wall Street or Investors Live or wherever, and you'll pick up a great product, but you'll have a support system, you'll have education, all of this stuff, and you didn't have that before. Like when I was trading and first starting off, I was on Yahoo Finance message boards. Like Cameron was like the first person I had met that actually was my age that actually made money, and it freaking blew my mind. Like I was like, oh my God, there's another one out there. I'm not the only one. Like it was like seeing a Martian.
Yeah, no, it's different nowadays. When I first started trading, I didn't really have there's that website, Three Stocks on Fire, where they kind of gave out alerts, but they didn't have like a training program or anything. And that's what we do now. Is basically the goal. The only reason why I have my website is to try to minimize the time it took for me to actually learn how to make money, and cut that time into a very small fraction for people that are interested in learning my strategy. So I mean, before, when I was learning, and that's why we are in the position that we are now to be able to teach people, is because we've been through the shit. We've been through fucking manic episodes of the stock market where we lost everything, and we've been doing it, and it was good because we were young and we were able to recover from those losses. And a lot of people that are sign up for my website are, say, 30 to 35 years old. They don't have 3 years to screw around and try to figure out how to trade the stocks. So it's important that if you actually want to learn my system or even Kunal's system, that you do it the right way by actually going through the educational process, or you are going to do the same exact thing that me and you did, is just screw around and lose our money until we finally either give up or figure it out and keep putting money into the stock market until you actually start figuring it out in your head that you can't screw around, you need to find a system and stick to it. So it's really important that you go through some sort of training before you actually even begin to think about trading anything.
I think that's important. I think the other thing that screws with people is they have unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
They think that they join a chat room, or even if you take a class, that you have the right to go out and make $1 million. Well, I'll tell you, somebody that's made millions of dollars, that fucking shit is hard, because this is like what we do. Like we're having, like right now, me and Cameron are, we're having a conversation, we're having fun, but like you don't see the back end of what we do, which is the studying and honing our techniques and all of that stuff. Like what we do is a job. It's a profession. It's no different than being a doctor or a lawyer or anybody, the president of the United States, whatever it might be. This is a job. It's a profession. And so, if Cameron wanted to be a doctor, what would he have to do? He'd have to go to med school. He'd have to study for years. he'd have to spend an X amount of money on education, and he would have to take some lumps. There would be hard times where he would think, why am I studying so much to be a doctor? Like, this is so hard. I have to sacrifice everything. And trading is no different. It's a job, it's a profession. You don't have the right to trade. It's a privilege. To be a professional day trader is a privilege, and you every day got to go out and get it. Like, you every day got to go out and prove yourself. You got to go out and get it. You don't, just because you take a class or you join a chat room doesn't mean that you are owed anything. You got to go out and be on the attack all the time, which means, not just your trading skills, but your mental, your physical well-being, all of that comes into play. Like, you'll see, like, I notice, like, whether it's Cameron or Investors Live or all the great traders I know, exercise all the time. Like, they eat right all the time, minus one day a week when they're blacked out drunk. But, they're making great decisions about their body, mind, everything all the time. Like, it's not just like we just wake up and do shit. I mean, we're up really working, and I think trading's a job, and I think people have unrealistic expectations that they're just going to buy something or take something and boom, you have the right to earn money. And it doesn't work like that. You have the right to get access to an amazing education and an amazing teacher, but you still got to go out and participate and do what you got to do. And Cameron will tell you, like, Cameron's a world-class partier. I've been with him. But 6 days of the week, he's exercising, he's eating salads. Yeah, he's eating salads and fucking chicken breast all day. Like, it's not as fun as you would think it is. It is fun, but
no, trying to keep and maintain a diet is not fun at all. It's kind of like learning how to trade. It takes a lot of discipline to be able to maintain a diet and exercise regimen. It's just like trading. You have to have discipline to follow the rules of the game, study, and keep up with that actual strategy. That's the same thing with being able, I think being part of being a good trader is just having the discipline to be on some kind of routine and have the discipline to stick to that. So biggest reason, what I always tell people when I do webinars as well, is that the only reason why people lose money in the stock market is because they chose to lose. Anytime you go into a losing position, you have that option to sell that stock and get out of that position. The only reason why people lose money is because they choose not to cut their loss short, and then the stock continues to drop down, and then they're messaging me or you like, hey, what do I do with the stock? Like, I don't know what the fuck to do with that thing. Like, I have no idea what any stock to do at any time. So you went into a losing position, and you chose to lose. So everyone has that option to choose not to lose. So you have to be disciplined enough to say, no, this is not working. I can either rebuy this stock, or I'm going to sell this stock and go put it into something else that actually looks like it's working now. But once you're into your losing position, you got to get out. And that's the same thing with working out or eating right. You have to have that discipline to say, no, I'm not going to eat this McDonald's burger. I'm going to eat this salad over here because you want that. You want to get a nice body. And the same thing with trading. You're going to sell that stock for a small loss because you don't want to lose money. You want to be successful at the stock market. So they kind of go hand in hand with having the discipline to, maintain a healthy lifestyle, working out, as well as being a successful stock trader. It all takes discipline to do all that.
So that's the big question, Cameron. How did you get your six-pack abs, and are you willing to show everybody? Are you willing to show these good folks? I mean, there's 400 people in here, and they all want to know how you get those six-pack abs. Because I know I work out all the time, but I do not have six-pack or eight-pack abdominals like Cameron.
I mean, it comes in, I'll tell you what, it's easy to get a six-pack. What's hard is maintaining that. So I'll go in spurts where I'll work my ass off in the gym and eat like a freaking freak, like super healthy shit. And I'll get to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm like set right now. And then I'll go party and I'll be too hungover to work out and eat right. and then I'll lose it. Like I just came back from Bali and Tokyo. I was there for 2 weeks, and I tried to work out there, and I was with like a bunch of other surfer buddies and stuff, and I was eating nasi goreng the whole time, which is like fried rice and fried egg and stuff. So now I'm trying to rebuild what I lost over 2 weeks. So if you don't maintain, it's all about maintenance. If you don't maintain, if you go on vacation for 2 weeks, speaking of, we're going to Costa Rica, we're going to be working out the whole time because I've been working my ass off for the last 3 weeks to try to make up for my 2 week trip to Bali, just to try to get back to where I was. So, it's mainly, first of all, you got to work your ass off in the gym. You can't just go to the gym and like do curls and like lift weights. You have to get your heart rate pumping. You have to be sweating. And I do yoga a lot. I do yoga 2 to 4 times a week. I do hot yoga, and that's a big part of about getting lean. You sweat more than any other workout that you do. And the most important part is just diet. If you're not eating right, you're eating, breads and pastas and stuff, that shit's like horrible for your body, and it just blows up your blood sugar and glucose levels, and then this ends up turning into fat. So it's really about being on maintaining a disciplined diet and consistently in the gym is what it's all about. So, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory.
And I think a lot of the rules have changed. Like I noticed a lot of people, they're like always talking about like doing like heavy weights and like bench presses, and like all that stuff like is kind of bullshit. Like you really got to go out and work. Like you don't have to sit there and that old school way of like doing 3 sets of one exercise and taking a 2-minute rest.
Yeah.
These really heavy weights. That's not really what makes you like all ripped and stuff. Like that's like what makes you into a monster. But like you don't get ripped. Like
bodybuilder stuff. I mean, I've tried so many different workouts. The best shape I've ever been in, I was doing a program called the Horseman Training Program, which is actually designed by Navy SEALs, and I was doing it with my buddy. He actually moved to New York, so if you don't have a workout partner to do it, it's too hard of a program to actually like be self-disciplined enough to do it yourself. You have to have somebody else there to do it with you. So like I weigh 185 right now. I weighed 175, and I was meal prepping, so I was prepping all my meals every week. Like I'd make everything on Sunday, and I'd have the whole entire week's meals planned out in little Tupperware boxes. And I only weighed 175, but I was the strongest I've ever been, and I was fucking lean and jacked as fuck. So I was doing this extreme program, but maintaining that is extremely difficult.
It makes you miserable. It's not worth it.
It's extremely hard, dude. Like freaking, I got a lot of like fitness model like girlfriends and dude guys that I know that do that, and they're like on such an intense program that it's just like a lot of them end up in the hospital after their competition because they're so like malnourished from not eating and trying to get as lean as possible and stuff. So a lot of that stuff isn't healthy for like those fitness models. They do go to the complete extreme that's unnecessary because they're trying to do something better than the next person until somebody's going to freaking kill themselves because they're so malnourished. But right now, I basically just do a mix of yoga, a mix of that Navy SEAL training program that I used to do.
So what goes on? So you told me. So guys, let me tell you something. So Cameron, I ask fitness tips from Cameron. So like I'm a fat ass, meaning that for years I had a desk job and I was trying to be a trader. So, and then when I finally became a trader, I was always sitting down, and I was like 210 pounds at one point because I was drinking. As a trader, the one thing all traders they feel the need to do, I feel the need to do it every day. I don't, but is get drunk because trading is so freaking difficult. Like it's so difficult. The only thing you want to do at the end of the day is get drunk and eat. For me, I had 2 things: get drunk and eat pizza. Like that's all I could think about when I first started trading full time because I was losing money, making money. It was so stressful. And Cameron would tell me, I'd ask him all the tips on fitness. And Cameron, like at this time, CrossFit was like just starting to pick up, and nobody really knew about CrossFit. So I asked Cameron about CrossFit, and he goes, "CrossFit's for pussies." I did it. He goes, "I did it, and it was too easy, so I'm doing this Navy SEAL stuff now." And so he's been doing this Navy SEAL workout. I tried one, and I was like, but give me an idea, what goes on in a Navy SEAL workout here that you're doing?
I mean, it's a combination of CrossFit and I forget what the name of the other thing is called. This guy named Jim Jones. It's like a combination of three different kinds of mountain workouts. But it's kind of like CrossFit workouts. There's a lot of Olympic lifting, but a CrossFit workout sometimes will only be 20 to 30 minutes long. These workouts will last you about an hour to an hour and a half long. So it's a lot different. I'm trying to think of an example of one right now. This one is there's one called Only Gangsters Have to Bang Hammers. This is probably one of my favorite workouts. This is like a high intensity, high rep thing. So basically what you would do is you go from 10 up to 100 down to 10 again. And how that works, you do 10 pull-ups, 20 handstand push-ups, 30 overhead squats with the bar, 40 jumping lunges, 50 or 500-meter row, and then it goes to I think 60 ball squats where you're squatting with a ball, medicine ball, throwing it up in the air, 70 deadlifts at I think 100 pounds, 80 swimmers where you're swimming on your stomach with your feet elevated and your arms elevated, and you're doing 80 reps of that. And you do 90 sit-ups, then you do 100 push-ups, then you do 90 flutter kicks, then you do 80 mountain climbers where you're on your hands and knees in a push-up position, but your feet are traveling back and forth. And then from there you do 70 push press at 95 pounds, and then it's 60 kettlebell swings with the 45-pound or 55-pound kettlebell, and then it's 60 I can't remember what 60 is, 60 something, and then you do 500-meter row again, and you do 40 hang squat clean kettlebell push presses at 45 pounds, and then you do 30 I'm trying to think. I always have it. I have the program on my iPhone, so I look at it all the time. It's 30 box jumps, and then 20 one-arm push-ups, 10 on each side, and then I think it's 10 pull-ups again. So that's an example of one of the workouts. And with that, you'll burn about 1,000 calories, and it lasts about an hour long. Because a lot of times I'll wear a heart rate monitor, and I have my Garmin fitness watch here, which is actually dead at the moment. But it's important that a lot of times I'll track my workout on how many calories I burn, not by time.
Yeah.
I just look at it, I'm like, all right, I'm not even to 1,000 calories yet, so I got to keep going or do something else or run on the treadmill. But I've also been doing a lot of running lately. Like this morning, I ran to the coffee shop. That's a mile. Had my little breakfast thing, ran back. That's another mile. So I was 2 miles just this morning at about 7:30 a.m. And then I went to the gym today. It's about a mile away, so I ran to the gym, did my workout, and then ran back. So that was another mile. So that's about 4 miles today of just cardio plus going to the gym and working out. So it's
You're out of town. So a lot of people, and it's funny because every time I do a webinar, people get mad at me. And they say, hey, man, what about the chart patterns? What about the chart patterns? I say, yo, the chart patterns are all the same. Chart patterns are all the same. You know, one looks like it has a flat top. One looks like it has a flag. There's only like, in essence, really like 4 or 5 chart patterns. And none of them mean anything. To be a trader, you learn a chart pattern. That's the easy stuff. To be a real trader requires the discipline, the routines, the risk management, and all of that stuff that comes into play. I think that is, you know, that's a huge part of trading. So a couple of people ask me like what my favorite setup is. So I've got a few different setups. So I'll grab you a chart. But like for me, for example, like one of my favorite setups would be like, Cameron, let me know when you see my screen.
yeah.
Like one of my favorite setups would be like a day-long consolidation play. So like this is something that I would trade. So, you know, this is a stock. I scan every day for stocks that make earnings or PRs. So like this stock gaps up like 50% or whatever. So a lot of people think, okay, if stock gaps up 50%, it means that it's too high to buy. But that doesn't really mean anything. Once a stock gaps up like that, there's going to be multiple setups within there. And so like all day I was basically just trading around this same stock. So the stock gapped up over here, and it's up 100% at this point once it's at 340. So I'm looking around and measuring some levels, and it's the stock is going sideways here. And so when it cracks this area, I take a short position, meaning I'm only looking for like say 10% gain. So I'm shorting a bunch of shares around $3.20. Not many. I had 8,000 shares total, and stock flushes down to the 280s. All right. So this would be shorting a stock based on the fact that it's up so high and it's probably a big turn. Now the thing is, you can't have a bias on these type of stocks because a stock like this has a very low float. So a float means how many shares are available to be traded. So a stock like this, my guess is it has maybe a 2-3 million share float. But it happens to be that this stock also had 25 million shares in volume. So, it's...
Are you trying to show a chart right now, or are you just looking at your...
Oh, is it not shown? Oh,
no,
hold on.
Or it's your like a watch list. I don't know if you're trying to show a chart or not.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I got it. Let me bring up my... hold on one sec. I got it. Google Hangouts is a little bit tricky. Let me bring up my TC2000 before everybody murders me.
Is the live chat on right now? Because I can't see any chat or anything.
Oh, yeah. There's a chat on the side where everybody's asking about your abs. They were asking for you to show.
I can't see any of the live chat. I haven't seen anything the whole time.
It might be because I'm the presenter. So, can you see my TC2000?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Maybe I'll log in.
You get a stock like this, right? It gaps up. So, I'm running different scans every day. I'm running different scans every day for stocks that are gapping up because it's earnings season right now. So it's earnings season. You want to look for stocks that are essentially, they are coming out with good earnings or they're coming out with PRs. Okay? So a stock like this, there's a few different things. So a stock gaps up like this, it's breaking over its key moving averages. The one thing I noticed is that 350 is like a huge level. 350 is like a huge level here. So you can see how it's tapped this area like a bunch of times. So when it taps that at the open and then it pops back down and it taps it again, you essentially have an intraday double top formation. And so once it cracks its first level of support, I short 8,000 shares of this thing, and essentially I made $2,500 or $3,000 or something on this as it spikes down into the 270s. Now the thing is, just because you shorted it once does not mean that you got to keep shorting it, because this is a stock that's in play. You can see its volumes at 35 million. The float on this stock is only 9.6 million, so the whole float is getting turned over. So that means this stock's just got a lot of juice. So as it floats down, pops up, and then it comes back down. I tried to short it again, thinking it's going to fade all day, and it wouldn't. So all of a sudden, this stock starts to peak over its moving averages and stuff like that. So, I had an inkling that this stock was going to go. Now, all of a sudden, this stock spikes up, and you start to see a flag here. And so, like, in the chat room, I alert everybody to, that this stock is about to break out. So, I flipped it from a short to long. And so, we added some shares at 323. Thinking, look, that's just trend line break, just a very, very simple pattern. Now, that's the most simple pattern you can do. And when you can marry the fact that it had a gap because of a PR, it's got a huge amount of volume. And it's got a very, very low flow. So what I consider a low float is anything less than 100 million shares. So, I add a few thousand shares of this bad boy into the 320s. And, the stock spikes up into resistance, and it stalls right at resistance, which is normal because it's extended going into resistance. It's going to fade off. And so it pulls back to support, and then it starts to rip again. So now how trend lines work is that the more times you test a level, the more explosive, a stock can be. And usually these moves will happen after 2 p.m. This is what we call like a day-long consolidation play. So, once a stock breaks out over here, like I had 5,000 shares again at 540. And then it's just about, scaling out into the rip. And so, that's essentially how day trading is done, is that, you have a basic setup on a big picture that this stock is a PR earnings breakout. And you're going to be trading the intraday patterns around there. You may get a short, you may get a long, and there were actually a few different plays. I should have longed this thing right there. And I'd actually been thinking about it, but because I was actually short, I was a little bit too stubborn on the fact that, I actually needed to be long in this thing. So I covered here. I took a small loss, like 10 cents, but I needed to long it. And so, those are the type of things that go on. Earnings season is an awesome time to make money because you'll literally see all these, you'll see all these runners. You'll see all these runners. And so this end of day play is something that I use all the time. Like something like an IQNT. It's the same type of deal. You'll see a stock that goes on these huge runs because of earnings, and then when you consolidate all day and just go sideways and you keep testing a level, once you get over that level, your risk will be really minimized because you can use your moving averages as a level of support, and then you can grab these quick type of trades. And you might have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 shares or something like that. You make $1,000 in a handful of minutes, and you're good to go. So that's one of the things that I do. So I run a scan, and it's a very easy scan. I run a scan every day during lunchtime between 12 and 2, looking for stocks that are ready to break or break down late in the day. So I will be running a scan like this to look for stocks that have had bad earnings and are ready to, bust a move. So I will be looking at something like a GG. So this stock is just a nail on earnings and it goes sideways. And then end of day, when it finally cracks its lows, we'll take it for a day trade. And that's what we call, a day-long consolidation play.
I got slapped on GG today. I was going long, though.
You were? Oh,
yeah.
Boy. It looks like it got halted for a hot second.
I thought it was my TC2000 that got screwed up there. I thought it just was not showing up my pattern, but I got long at what was it? 1885 when it had that panic sell off below 19.
You had a good average.
Yeah, and then I got stopped out when it broke down.
So I think what happened, Cam, was the New York Stock Exchange. The New York Stock Exchange had they had some type of outbreak or outage or something like that, and I saw a ton of stocks that they looked like they were halted. And the trading got really, really weird. Like I was following a bunch of stocks, and you couldn't see any of them making a move.
You're saying this is today?
Yeah, this is today.
Yeah, no, I saw that in the charts. It was weird.
How are you liking that new computer of yours?
The new laptop?
Yeah.
I actually am not that pleased with it. It's on paper, the technical specs of it. It's supposed to be like the top of the line laptop you can
Because
get.
I looked at it, the picture of this laptop is awesome. Let me see if it's an MSI
WS60.
WS60.
But it's not even that great. Like the reasons why I want it is because it has 4K output, so I can play. I bought this 4K monitor over here, so I plug it in. But it's once you get that 4K monitor attached to it, it actually runs pretty slow. It's like choppy. Like I bought a mouse to like try to use with it, and it's definitely choppy when I open up everything and I have everything laid out on like all my programs open and stuff. So I actually not that happy with it. I was about to take it back and get a Dell, but
no way.
yeah.
I mean, it's a cool looking computer.
Yeah, it's sick. This is not worth the money that I spent on it. That's for sure.
And Dell makes it ugly. I know you're all about looks rather than substance. I'm the same way. I'll buy the shittiest thing if it looks cool sometimes. Dell makes the ugliest computers ever.
It's gotta be a cool picture that I can post on my social media, bro.
I like looking at cool stuff. Like I got this freaking MacBook. So I got this MacBook. I mean, I had it loaded up with all this stuff. So I ended up paying $4,500 for this MacBook. And I got like 16 gigs of RAM. I got a terabyte SSD hard drive. You know, all the fun stuff. But there's no. I realized that no trading platforms run on Mac. So the only thing I use this book for, it's a $4,500 paperwork. The only thing I use it for is answering emails and going on Facebook, and sometimes Match.com, and sometimes Plenty of Fish. That's it. I'm using it literally to just freaking answer emails.
Yeah, dude. So we'll see how it goes once we take it down to Costa Rica, and. Oh my God, there's like somebody playing the guitar out here. But yeah, we'll see how it goes once we bring it down to Costa Rica, and especially with the internet connection there, I'm still a little skeptical about that whole situation. Like when I was in Bali, the internet connection over there was terrible trying to trade over there. It's just like one more.
So in Costa Rica, I'll just let you know, I spent 3 months there. 3 months there trading, and it made my trading game amazing because the internet is so bad that I actually couldn't fill my charts, and so I had to learn how to just read the tape and trade without charts. So I had my best 3 months ever because I was so focused on price action, and I had to make charts in my head because the freaking internet was so slow. I was getting 0.5 megabytes per second download. And they were claiming it's the fastest you can get. And now this is a couple years ago. I really hope it's better this time. But it was enough to trade, and as long as you run some old school programs, you're okay. Like Dash Trader works really well because Dash Trader doesn't take much it doesn't take much memory and stuff or bandwidth, so I noticed my Dash Trader was working fine, so I could view my charts and all that stuff. And I know you trade at Speed Trader.
Yeah, so that works, but I do all my charting through like TC2000, so that will be
TC2000 might work slow.
Yeah. One of the places I talked to the guy about one of the spots we're staying in pretty nice places. He said it was about 3 megabytes per second download speed, so
that's not too bad.
But competing for that as well, so we're both going to be there trading, as well as Robert.
Yeah. I mean, and I trade, so you probably make a couple trades a day. I make like 30. I'm like the definition of an overtrader.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do in Costa Rica? Give us a rundown. So I've let you plan this whole trip.
All right, so I just got back from Bali and Tokyo, and I was excited to come home because once you're in another country, sometimes it's like, oh man, I'd love to go sleep in my bed right now. But then I got home, and I was like, this is
boring.
Yeah, I don't want to be here anymore. So then I talked to Robert, who used to be one of my students. He still is one of my students, but now he's a full-time employee at fouslords.com. If you're come to my website. He's going to be the guy that you talk to and basically gives you the rundown and whatever you need to know. So I talked to him and said, hey, let's go somewhere. Let's go to Costa Rica. We can go there for like 2 weeks and just go work and do some rad shit. And then I hit you up about it. I was like, bro, me and Robert just bought tickets to Costa Rica. You in or what? You're like, fuck yeah, let's go. And so basically what we're doing, we're going down to Jaco first, which is like, I've never been there. You said you've been there. There's a bunch of prostitutes running down around.
Jaco's not my type of town because
that was one of the places that I wanted to visit. I went there about 3 or 4 years ago, and I didn't get to go see Jaco. So we're doing a weekend in Jaco just to go get nuts and go out and party. And then from there, we're traveling up to Malpais to Santa Teresa, and we have this sick beachfront property with its own private pool and everything that's just looking epic. From there, we'll be there for about a week or about 5 or 6 days. From there, then we're going to Tamarindo, which is I think where you were staying before. Tamarindo. Yeah, so we got this awesome place there. It's like a 5-bedroom place. It's got its own private pool, hot tub, this huge, sweet tiki hut thing with like a table in the middle of it. Like, it looks pretty epic. So I just actually confirmed the booking with that yesterday.
Yeah.
So
I love Tamarindo because I mean it's just a personal preference because I'm a small town guy, so like Jaco's like a big town.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, and for me, like me and my boys, I mean we come from a town of like 5,000 people, so it's like we love like those little towns where there's like 2 streets and you know everybody. Like when I was in Tamarindo, like the 2 local drug dealers, they'd be like taking my mom and dad to the pharmacy or the restaurants. Like, it's like it was such a small town. There's only, a handful of people there. But it was awesome. Like, there's 5 or 6 bars, 5 or 6 restaurants. That's all you need. When me and Tim went to Jaco, like we were like, as I always do, we were looking for chicks. Like, I'm looking. I'm looking to make some magic happen. Find a notebook.
Get some vacay hoodie.
Yes, I'm trying to find a notebook type of love, and so much to my dismay, every single girl in the city was a hooker. And I was really ready, man. I had like my nice shirt on. I was ready to pull some chicks, and there were only hookers there, and so I was so bummed.
Yeah, I mean they're everywhere. I remember being in Tamarindo. And Tamarindo is actually one of the bigger cities that are actually coastline, I think.
Yeah.
But Malpais or Santa Teresa, that's really small. There's maybe like 1 or 2 bars there, and everything else is just dirt roads and shit.
That's perfect.
But Tamarindo, I remember being there, and there's just a line of prostitutes just like waiting for people to go up and talk to them in the club. Just like, are these prostitutes or chicks? Like, obviously they look Costa Rican here, but yeah, they'll just line up on the freaking side of the bar, waiting for people to go say something to them. This is hilarious.
Costa Rican women that are not prostitutes are like amazing women. They're like they're thin, but they're like super curvy. They got big old boobs and big old butts, but they're like really thin, and they're always smiling. Like Costa Rican women are always smiling. They're like super nice. I don't know. I met a lot of fun like Costa Rican friends like when I was down there because I was there for so long.
No, it'll be an awesome time, and I'm looking forward. Tamarindo is my favorite spot too that I went to last time. But when I was there before, I was only there for 7 days. So I went from San Jose down to just down to the ferry, and then took a ferry up to Malpais, which we're going to as well, and then up to Tamarindo. So I was only there for 7 days. So this time we'll have a little bit more time, 2 weeks to go do whatever. But
yeah, buddy. Well, I'm vacation high. I trade super well on vacation, no matter what.
Yeah, I usually do, but I usually have like decent internet, so now I'm kind of a little nervous.
Oh yeah, we're not gonna have that, but it's gonna be awesome. I mean, when I was in Costa Rica, I was there for 4 months. I had 2 losing days. 2 losing days.
That's not bad, dude.
Because I had to be so focused because the internet was so bad that like I was like, and me, like I'm all over the place. Like I'm like like on video, telling jokes or doing whatever. Like I have trouble focusing because I'm putting on a freaking rock star show sometimes, like in my head. And like I was really focused because the internet was slow, and so I'm like I had to watch everything tick by tick, and like really just focus. And so I never lost. My risk management was so good. So the
What
slow
time did
internet really
you go over
helped
there?
me.
What time of the year did you go there?
I went. We got there January 11th, and we stayed to about April.
Okay, word, yeah. That's good months because the primary months that I make money trading is about November through March. The rest of the year is kind of like stagnant bullshit, blah blah blah. But those are my primary trading. I probably make 70 to 80 money is between November and March. So we're going there for the first couple of weeks, or I guess we're going right in the middle of November. So hopefully that we'll have good enough internet where we can make some good gold patterns, just like ISR, which I think was, or that might have been March of last year or this year. But yeah, I like my internet connection, so this will be interesting to see how this goes.
Oh
I
yeah, we're
might
not
even
gonna
bring
get.
a
I get
wire.
100 megabytes per second download over here, and I know we're about to get dial-up speeds. It's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Actually, I went and got two iPhone 6s for me and Robert because I switched to Sprint. I wasn't ready to buy a new one for Verizon yet, so I opened up a new account with Sprint, and there's supposedly 4G LTE around here, and then I had my phone, and it was downgrading to a 3G because I couldn't get 4G where I live in San Diego. It was like the most miserable thing in the world. I was at the gym, getting ready to throw my fucking phone through a window because I couldn't even stream music on it. So I took those phones back, and now I'm back on Verizon. So it's definitely difficult to go from what you usually have. Like if you look at what I have right now, I have freaking a huge 6 monitor, trading setup, and then you go to one laptop. That's like holding my hand behind my back trying to trade and stuff. So it's definitely, different to adapt into a vacation system. That's why I have this 4K monitor that I'm bringing down with me to Costa Rica to try to cope with that whole adaptation from going to a huge setup down to a laptop.
Hey, so let me ask you this, and we're gonna wrap this thing up. What are the tools that you use? Like a lot of people ask me about tools, scanners. Like, what are the tools and the setups that you use? Like, what's going on this very busy desk that you have? Like, mine is full of beer cans and like weird shit. You got like a nice clean desk. What's going on at this damn desk?
I mean, for one, I have these ridiculous sunlight lights here that keep me awake so I can actually trade. This turns on. But as far as like my main tool that I use is probably FinViz. That's what I create my watch list every night, and a lot of my trades that I make the following day are stocks off the watch list that I created the previous night because I set alerts through TC2000, whether it be a trend line alert or some kind of breakout zone. So the primary tool that I use that helps me, identify these patterns for the following session, be prepared to buy. Because a lot of times, people will run like real-time scanners or something and see these stocks after they break out because they're looking for volume or something. With FinViz, I can find and try to identify these patterns before they actually break out, and I set a trend line alert, or right before that, maybe breakout zone, where I get an alert saying, hey, this stock just moved past this zone. It might be breaking out of this area that I might be trying to buy into. So my biggest tool for my success is using FinViz, of which I'm not going to tell you what my scans are, but I do teach you those in my training programs. But setting up a watch list so that you're prepared with a list of stocks to trade for the following session, and you're ready to be there, rather than people that are, find the stock because it is breaking out when we're already in before it broke out or as it just broke out. So that's probably my number one tool for success is using FinViz, or a lot of people use whatever they want, but I use FinViz.
Do you still use trade ideas at all?
I do sometimes, but it's
so hard to use.
It's it's a lot of like I said, it's volume. You're looking for volume if you're looking on trade ideas. So a lot of times you're late to the game because the reason why it pops up on trade ideas is because you're looking at a stock that's already moving.
You're too late. Yeah, you're too late.
So my main tool that I focus on is FinViz because I try to identify those patterns that I try to anticipate that potential breakup because a lot of times you don't see that volume until it actually breaks out of the technical area. Or
volume comes in after the fact.
Yeah, so I try to anticipate buying into that that breakout zone before the volume actually comes in. So, and how I do that is I use FinViz and run a scan. There's probably like 500 charts that I have to look at, and I just pick and choose those charts, then put them into my watch list that I send out every night.
So guys, this is really, really important. This is a fallacy in trading that I believe is completely wrong. So in trading books and the gurus of the past, not the present, they say that volume is like this huge thing that you have to pay attention to when you're trading breakouts or big runners. But if you really think about it in a common sense way, if a stock hasn't broke out, how could there be any volume in it? The volume only comes in after the fact. When everybody knows that the breakout has happened, then the suckers get in and give you the volume. But the people that are smart, the people that are making the money, they are getting in well before a pattern actually makes its move. So there might not be the volume confirmation. Now, it doesn't mean we just trade stocks at 50, 60,000 in volume. We still have to have liquidity. But it's a misnomer to say, I need volume to trade, like expanding volume, because if there's expanding volume, that means that everybody's already got into the stock and you're the last one into the game. And I don't know about you, Cameron, but everything we learned when we were younger is that you have to have the volume tells you everything. Like the volume going up tells you there's going to be a breakout. And for me, it's like if the volume is going up, it means I missed the breakout. I'm the last one to the party.
Yeah, if you look, I mean, it was different. Like back in like 2005 to 2008 when I was full on swing trading, I wouldn't wake up for the opens. I didn't trade the opens at all. And I would swing trade. I was much more patient. I was also trading with a lot less money, so I wasn't looking at my P&L. I'm like, oh man, I'm losing, $2,000 here. If I have to see this pullback, I'd be losing like $30 or something. So it was much different back then. But yeah, I try, like I said, I try to have that watch list so I can anticipate that breakout. A lot of times before I buy into a stock, I'm looking at that, like you said, the opening range breakout. A lot of times I don't wait for that opening range breakout to happen. I try to identify a potential opening range breakout and buy into it, anticipating that it's looking like it's going to break out.
Me too.
Yeah, so it's all about being able to identify those patterns and buy in before that actual breakout happens and that volume confirmation comes in, because all these real-time scanners, they're not going to pick up that breakout until it already broke out and the volume is coming in, and then you see the people that continue to ride up the stock. A lot of them are maybe continually buying in when I'm taking profits at that point. So yeah, it's all about being able to identify patterns and trying to anticipate them rather than waiting for them to happen and then trying to take advantage of it.
All right, I get two questions. We're going to wrap this up and answer all these guys' questions. Number one, how is it that you pick up so many chicks? I want to know. I mean, I'm a nice guy. I mean, but I don't have nearly the success.
Dude, lately, like the last couple girls that I've been, like my last girlfriend I met through Instagram. I knew her through mutual friends, but she actually hit me up on Instagram. And I already kind of had a crush on this chick, and she's like, "Hey, let's go," or I need a male model to go down to Mexico and do this like photo shoot for this like wedding planner thing. Like I was gonna play like bride and groom as a wedding thing. So she actually hit me up and asked me to do that. And I was like, "That's weird. I don't want to do that, but let's hang out." So we actually hung out. Didn't work out. But I just went on a date last night with this chick that I met through Instagram. So Instagram has just been like my game lately somehow. I don't really know.
So you're saying I got to creep around on Instagram to find my notebook type of love?
I guess. I mean, I meet some people out through the bar scene and stuff, and Nick's got more game than I do. Nick, my roommate.
Nick's got game.
So
who's this game?
A lot of times he'll meet girls at the bar, and then I'll meet their friends. But me, like, I just a lot of it's been through Instagram. Like I went on a date with this girl from LA that drove down that I had never met before, but we had been bullshitting on Instagram for like a year. And then this girl that I went on a date with last night, one of my other girlfriend doing her eyelashes, and she was talking about her ex-boyfriend or something. She's like, "Oh, I have a friend that you should introduce yourself to." And then so she direct messaged me on Instagram. And I said, "What's up?" And she was cute. She was a little 21-year-old girl. So we went out to dinner last night, and she came over and watched the movie. We didn't do anything much. We kissed, said goodnight, and then now we're gonna hang out at some point again soon. But a lot of my shit lately has just been randomly through Instagram. So.
So as a professional trader, you posted all these pictures, and people are like, "Hey, Cam, oh wow, nice
Yeah.
stuff."
What was cool about this girl last night, though, is that she was intimidated by my Maserati. She didn't like it. She was like, "Can you go like borrow someone's piece of shit car and come pick me up?" And that's what I want. You know, my ideal girl is some girl from a small town that drives a piece of shit car, because I know that she's a real person, not some San Diego dumb blonde that's here for the money. If a girl drives a nice car, she's a stuck-up bitch. So you want to try to find a girl that drives a piece of shit car, and that's from a small town, ideally. Otherwise, she's just there for your money. It's my opinion.
Oh boy. All right. Write all these things down. All right. Now this is the main question. I think this is the stuff that people have a hard time doing. And I've had hard times doing it too. Is a lot of guys, they start trading and they think everything's going to go good. And it happens. They go live. Like like in my boot camp, I put everybody on a simulator. So you go on a simulator, you're trading pretty good. So you go live trading. Okay. So you're live trading, and everything's going good for a while, but inevitably, everybody goes in a slump.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Everybody goes in a slump. You've been in slumps that are like sometimes. I mean, you're near suicidal, and you know me, when I'm in a slump, I'm more than suicidal because I'm ready to kill you. I'm ready to kill my roommates. I'm ready to kill my students. I mean, like I make sure now that I don't go in those type of slumps. For me, it's MDK, murder, death, kill, just like Demolition Man. How do you lift yourself out of a slump? Like, how do you, when you're losing, turn this thing around when you actually know what you're doing? Because trading is so much mental. You do know what you're doing, but sometimes you get dragged into the slump. Like, how do you personally get yourself out of there? Like, what do you do?
I mean, that's like a very difficult question because there's not really anything you can do until you actually hit a winning trade and you get that confidence back.
How do you get there? Like, like if it was you, what do you do?
Well, for example, last year, I think maybe, I guess this was 2013. I was like on a losing streak for like maybe like 2 months. Like I literally didn't have like a winning trade for like probably 30 days straight. And I was like,
I remember it.
what the fuck is going on here? And so I lost like a $25,000 pullback in my account. And yeah, I was like ready to fucking quit and like do so. I was like researching all this other shit I could do for a job. It's like, this is awful. And then what it is being confident in that your strategy works, but understanding that there is downfalls in the stock market. There are going to be times that you do hit slumps, but as long as you remember the times that this strategy does work, there will be these opportunities coming up. And that's basically what happened with, there was a down slump for about 2 months where I was just in such a mental, mind fuck and such a gutter where I just continually was losing every day. I was losing small every day, but it was just, continually chipping at my brain and continually chipping at my portfolio where I was just so mentally out of it. And then finally, Fannie Mae came up with that gold pattern, which I was just talking about on ISR. And I saw that gold pattern and I took advantage of it, and I'm